Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue 10, Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez on the R. So last issue ended with the kind of the hippie and the army coming for John, whereas the Martian has been held captive by the, I don't even know what you call them, but the man and the woman, the entities that are torturing him.
Yeah. So I feel like, because I kept referring to Uncle Sam, so I feel like the guy entity is Uncle Sam. Still don't know who the lady one is. That's still to be revealed because I didn't catch a name here. But yeah, they're somewhere else.
Auntie Samantha, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
So some interesting stuff here. This ultimately builds up to John like getting out of his predicament and rushing to save the Martian, which he's able to do because the beetle or whatever it is from the Martian finally gets to him and goes into him and sort of gives him like a psychic message, and that gives him the willpower to get going and go and save his friend, which is really nice. It's a nice payoff because after, how tenuous the relationship's been and how he doesn't really want him in his head, but now he's been missing him and now he has to go and save him. All that stuff's good. There's a lot of build up to it though, with John like fighting off the hippie, and there's a lot of like bright coloured pages of gunshots and choppers, but all of the sound effect text, the chop chop chop, the brat brat brat, all that stuff. Every single time it's a different color. It's just so vivid, and it's very psychedelic, which goes in with the hippie that's coming after him kind of thing, but also fits with the color schemes we've been using throughout this entire book.
And the fact that the hippie is the one that's bringing like these war flashbacks to him too. There's a bit of like counterintuitiveness to this character, and he's got him up at the bar, and it's just Rodriguez on this one. It's just the amount of coloring that here. I'm just looking at a page right now that it starts with like the explosion against the wall that becomes a bunch of skulls, but like the way that the color gradient works, and it's psychedelic's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, I mean, let's describe that panel for
much going on.
A second, because you said the explosion actually has a bunch of skulls hidden in the explosion, which is one thing, but you've also got John kind of like diving to the side, firing two guns like an action hero. So there's a lot going on in like every panel during this action sequence. And the one that gets me is when we cut to the Martian, who's kind of all tied up in this multicolored kind of prison, and you've got the two characters try to like break him and whatnot. And they have a line here that really stuck out to me, is we're still taking the entire US prison system just to hold it down. As if like, I don't know if that means they're using the psychic energy of every prisoner in the country to like hold Jean.
I think more it's the idea of how massive the prison system is in this country, right? Because they're containing an idea of the Martian. And so they're using that massive concept and the fear and all of the oppression that comes with it in there. But it also could be the amount of psychicness as well, because it's such a large system. But it struck me how much it looked like the Fourth World Kirby style stuff with all of the right angles, right? And how those right angles are cut through, and each one of those, squares and rectangles are a different color. Right, so there's just this vividness behind it all too.
Yeah, but it's also the colors of like the Martians' like thoughts and psychic
Emotions.
powers. So it kind of like gives this idea of like it is like whatever this place is, it is like made up of ideas and thoughts. It's not like a physical place. It's a place that's, I don't know, incorporeal, I guess. So no, there's a lot of fun stuff here. The big thing, this builds up to the ending, but we cut back to the wife and the kid. And the kid's obviously still very heavily possessed with the white Martian, or however you want to phrase it, but is putting thoughts into his mum's head. And it's not bad stuff. But it's not serious stuff right early on. It's just like, he's making her think, oh, I love my son, I'll do anything for my son, and she's making dinner. And that's all it kind of is. But it gets worse by the end, where it's like, oh, like, you're going to, like dad's dangerous, you have to kill dad kind of thing. But you still have the Sparrow talking to John and trying to talk him out of like fighting back, just try to make him give up, that it's hopeless, there's no reason to go after the Martian. Which is actually one of the more interesting parts of this, is that when he does end up going to the Martian to save him, the Sparrow doesn't get like kicked out at that point. Like, Desparo's still there, so we end up with this weird moment where Desparo's like, well, I guess we're a throuple now, and I'm like, wait, you're still sticking around? Okay, that's interesting. I didn't expect that coming.
So in their great term of things, if Despero is supposed to like be this concept of like the depression and like an imprint of the after or the anti-life equation, right? Like that is driving John, and the fact that the Martian's there, it reminds me of something that I had to learn in therapy to deal with my anxiety. Is my therapist always told me you have to make friends with your anxiety. And I was like, I don't want to be friends with that guy. That guy sucks. Like I don't like him. But it's like, well, if you're not, then it's a constant fight. So this reminded me of that, where it's like, well, if he doesn't sit there and fight the despair, right, and he embraces the Martian, and the despair is there, but he's not paying it any attention, then he doesn't have to fight it anymore, right? He just doesn't pay it any attention. And so I'd like to see where that goes further now. Well, like, is it going to be a struggle with the Martian and Despero? Or is Despero just going to be there constantly whispering these things, almost like a devil on his shoulder?
Well, this thing, though, is that up until this point, I was thinking Despero was like a third entity. Like, it wasn't something that just formed out of his mind. It was something that went into him, just like the Martian did. So, and the Martian, we know, is definitely a thing that exists. It's not just a conjure of his mind. It's not just like his, good side, if you will. Right. So, it's interesting to me that... assuming Despero isn't just something that's conjured in his mind, like something his mind made up for the lack of the Martian, which maybe it is, maybe that's all it is, and maybe that's why that works, but I'm curious to see where we go with that.
Because here at the, real quick, when he joins back up with the Martian, right, where the Martian tells him, black, white, thinking compresses the spectrum to the possibility of two, and he's going through there, as John's embracing the Martian is embracing him, Despero goes, wow, that was pretty cool. Not that it makes a difference. So it's almost like that now. It's got from being a lot less sinister to just being like these thoughts that you don't pay attention to, right? Like when you hear, like, you let the bad thoughts win, so yeah, that's how I took that anyways.
No, I mean, it makes sense. It's just that because the Martian is definitely a real thing, I've been considering Despero a very real thing. This maybe suggests more that he's just like a manifestation in his head. It's more of a metaphor. Speaking of metaphors, there's a page in here where the man and woman who are working on the Martian are looking, I think, into the Martian's mind or something to that effect. And she's like, oh, this is a metaphor. And her name's Lo, because they actually used their names together.
Right. There it is.
But like, it's like a black and white couple of panels of a movie theater, right? And there's a crowd, they're still sitting there, and they're looking at the screen, but then the projector beams in all the colors. So then we see this crowd again, but they've got, and it's the same, 6-7 colors that we've been seeing over and over again of the Martian thought colors, right? And then we see that each one represents something. The red says it's a romance. The blue one says, I don't get it. The white says it's a tragedy. The pink says it's a feel-good story. The yellow says it's a piece of shit. The orange says it's a comedy, and then the green says it's a masterpiece. All kind of represent different moods, different, ideas and feelings. And then the bottom panel is like all of these people who are now different colors are all fighting each other. And then the voice, the man says, a metaphor for what? And I'm sitting here going, that's an excellent question, buddy. I don't know if I could handle on what this is a metaphor for, but it's definitely got me thinking. Yeah. It definitely feels like all the different feelings that you have in your head all battling for which one's actually, coming out.
Because the way that it shows after the light, right? So we have this white light that shines. Instead of onto the screen, it seems like it's shining onto the people, right? And it's all of these colors that make up the white light. That wash over the people in the waves, right? And then below that, that's when we get the ones where it's describing what all those different colors are going through, right? And then it shows them fighting there at the end. So it's almost like, well, it seems like, again, you said a metaphor for what, but I feel like it's just right there, and I can't put my finger on it. It's like this came from somewhere, right? Because that's what the light's going for. And it's washing over the crowd. And then after that, they go from these gray, drab to them inhabiting colors to them fighting, right? So it's almost like, are our emotions, or are emotions part of us, right? Are we acting them out, or are they acting us out?
And it transitions into the next scene with the mom and the son, where it's almost like it goes to the like the cooking she's doing, and all the colors are in the cooking. But notably, the thoughts that are coming from the son to her have a little bit of color around the white. It's not a lot. It's faint. It's very pale, but it's almost like there's a little bit of color try to get in there, and it's almost like. It depends which way around you read it. Either it's the son is trying to make her feel emotions, so there's an attempt at trying to put the colors in there, or it's like her emotions are sort of almost trying to battle the emptiness of the white thoughts. But either way, it's a really cool visual, and it kind of like it almost suggests this idea of like he's influencer, he's trying to like convince her and take over her mind, and like even if she doesn't realize that her mind might be trying to fight it. You know, it's like it takes time. It's not like just a snap of the fingers and she's ready to do what the White Martian wants.
Yeah, it's almost like he was trying to play on her maternal instinct, but then that maternal instinct started pushing back, right? Because all those white thoughts before, they don't have these little touches of color. And to me, it's whatever she's cooking right here, and having the thought of her holding him when he was a baby. That right there, that panel, that thought, that moment is where she starts poking through, because now she looks back at the kid instead of down at the food.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like he pushed too far, and now this is starting to bleed back to him.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work, of course, because he seems to be winning at the end of the issue, but it does feel like it's a battle here in the middle. You know, and again, the idea that the Sparrow is a real thing, though, I think is a thing here, because he does try and stop the beetle or the firefly or whatever it is from getting to John, you know, the one that the Martian sent to him. Like, he's trying to run and grab it so it won't get to him, but it does get to him. It goes in his mouth and then seemingly protects him from a bunch of gunshots. It's firing squad style before he's able to fight back. And he just, you know, runs to the car and he drives off. But notably, when he drives off in the car, all of the 7 colors are all just bursting out of the back of the car like a rainbow. It's like all of the emotions are there. Every one of them. They're all inside, and they're helping them get to where they're going. So really, I just, again, the book's just of like color, and like it's built up this language of like what colors represent what, or more specifically, what groups of colors represent what, as opposed to one particular color. So no, but yeah, he ends up like sort of. I mean, it's hard to exactly tell or describe how this functions in the real world sense, but it's almost like he drives into like this like other plane of existence, and then crashes the car and ends up where the Martian is, and goes to help them, and they try and fight back, of course, but once he's able to touch the Martian, it's almost like all of their colors disappear and everything's simple now. It's in just white and black, as they say. I mean, it's not literally in black and white. There's a little bit of color.
No.
But all of the strong colors go away. The backgrounds become white, and they literally hug. And the Sparrow watches on from behind, and kind of like, you know, the sad like third party.
He's watching from the cuck chair.
That's one way to put it. But that leads to the final page, where we see the reflection in the mum's eye. Like, it's almost like they're inside her eye, or they're inside the son's eye, even
Tyler's eye.
Yeah. And then the mum's like saying, "I'll do anything to make you happy," almost like it's working. And what Tyler, the son's showing her in her head, what the White Martian's showing her, is her stabbing John in the back, like literally killing her husband. And yeah, so she's like, "I would do anything to make you happy," and a tear comes down her eye, almost like she knows she doesn't want to do it, but like she's now compelled to do it. So it's really sad.
Yeah, she's very much like in a trance, right? And this is her subconscious poking through.
Yeah. Part of her knows that she's been forced to do something and she doesn't want to do it. But yeah. And the final panel's just the son eating his cereal that's all brightly coloured and smirking. So the next issue then, the plot of the White Martian is to try and have John's wife kill him to take away the Martian's vessel, his conduit for Earth. So, super exciting stuff. Very well done. as it has been, I think, throughout the entire book. If I was to make a critique of this issue in particular, I would just say that maybe some of the action with the hippie felt like it went on quite a bit long in the middle. Like every time it started coming back to that, and I was like, oh, we're still running from him and like dodging bullets and whatever, you know.
That said, it was so chaotic with Rodriguez's art that I was just like, I understand why Dennis Camp would be like, yeah, just draw. Like I feel like in the script, it was like draw a really wild battle sequence, you know, because I don't feel like a lot of it doesn't feel planned in that way. But yeah, it does kind of go on, but I understand why, because it's all enveloping, you know. So I feel like we were in that flashback for like time ceased to exist. But yeah.
I mean, and like it's a minor quibble. I'm just basically justifying why it's not going to be the highest rated issue of the book, because it's basically the only critique I can really levy at it. Because the excitement of John wanting to go save the Martian and fighting through the Sparrow's like negative, like, oh, there's no point, you shouldn't do this, or the Sparrow's trying to stop him and he does it anyway. So it's quite uplifting. It's quite hopeful. And then you get the gut punch at the end of, oh no, the son is like convincing the mother that she should kill John, and that's quite dark, especially since that marriage and like him trying to repair that marriage but has been a thing the whole book. So it feels especially vicious to sort of try and turn that marriage against them here in the end game, because we only got 2 issues left, so we're building up to the final here. So yeah. All right, if we're ready to rate, Matt, would you want to give Absolute Martian Manhunter?
Yeah, because it's like the art is doing so much, but it's a lot of me getting lost. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Like, it's still really good, but like the lack of clarity kind of a little bit.
Yeah, I just felt like that stuff went on just a little bit long. It made the middle feel like every time we came back to that fight, like it was really impressive art and it was like really good for the first several pages, but then when we came back to it, I was like, okay, we're still kind of doing this. So I agree with the 8, actually. That's exactly what I was thinking, was 8 out of 10.